Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I believe we are live. I'm not. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're live. I see a signal that this is live right now. Welcome to our event. This is the first time that we're trying something like this virtually, so it's a learning process for all of us. But I would like to extend a warm welcome to anyone who has joined. I think most of you are from Seattle, but my understanding is that we have people also from other cities joining. This is an important event for multiple reasons, and I think when we look at what's going on in the world right now, all of us have been hit by COVID-19 and all the stuff that's come with this disease, and our way of life has changed, and our society has changed. And then in more recent times, unfortunately, we've had the murder of George Floyd, who was brought to the fore. So these issues, discrimination and racism again. So we've been sort of, as a society, we've been hit from multiple angles. So to me, this actually says how important it is for us to have resilience, and the only way for us to have resilience is to have a community. And I think what Sebi, the founder, who's going to come on stage shortly, and her team they have done is to really build community for people. And I think this is incredibly valuable, and especially this time is showing how important their work is. So I'm super happy that we're doing this. So from the Amazon perspective, we're very committed to this. We're hoping to do this on an ongoing basis with some frequency, and at some point, hopefully in the future, we can do this in a non-virtual way. So we'll see what the future has in store for us. But without further ado, I would like to invite the main actually instigator of all this, Sabine Nassiri, to come to the stage and kick off the event. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for our amazing panelists, by the way, for accepting to participate and sharing their time and wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Babak John. Really appreciate you joining us today and giving us your time and all the wisdom you just shared. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks first and foremost, Amazon, Babak, the Iranians at Amazon, Hoda, and supporting us today, the Women of MENA in Technology Seattle event. We have these monthly, and we started today with following with Seattle's events. So we're super excited for this. For some of you who might know about our organization is focused on educating, motivating, inspiring current and next generation of women of MENA in technology, previously known as Persian Women in Tech, but we have now expanded our reach and our community. We are super excited to be able to create impact with you. So with that, today we have an incredible and very important topic on how you can increase female leaders in your company. We have great panelists from various of companies who will be giving their insights as well. I want to point out that we receive a lot of questions in regards to how you can get involved or how you can bring our organization and our initiatives to your city. You can always visit our website at womenofmena'intechnology.com and email us, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with more details. You can also email the Seattle team if you have any requests in regards to Seattle. It's seattle@womenofmena'intechnology.com. We are so excited to be partnering with such an incredible company like Amazon. So if your company is also interested in supporting our initiative and our mission of closing the diversity and gender gap in STEM, please email us, and we are more than happy to collaborate with you. I'm not sure if you had a chance to go into the sessions and connect with recruiters. These are Amazon recruiters who will be educating you on opportunities available at Amazon. We will have more sessions for networking and connecting with recruiters after the panel discussion. You can go back into the sessions and select which session you would like to connect with and who you would like to talk to in regards to the topic. But additionally, our incredible panelists will be joining and having their own room where you can discuss with them as well. And with that said, I will step out so that the panelists can join. It is an incredible lineup. It's moderated by Fereshteh, who is a manager at Phillips. We have Parisa Sadrazadeh. She is a director at Amazon. We have Pouneh, who is a principal at Microsoft, and Ani, who has a background in large tech companies, but currently has started her own company. So she's also an entrepreneur as well. I'll welcome everyone to come on stage, and I will be leaving the stage so they can join us. Thank you so much, Fereshteh. Take it from here.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am here to lead the conversation today and ask the question. I reached out to a couple of ladies out there and curated the questions. So I will start by talking about my own background, and we're going to go by one by one to the panelists. So I am Fereshteh. I have been working in the area of product management for the last 10, 11 years. And I work for Phillips as a product lead of a couple of platforms of the connected devices. And I have been there looking into the initiatives that trying to bring the hospital cares closer to the customers' cares along the Phillips portfolio toward moving and changing to the health tech and innovation. My specific skills and passion is about the customer obsession. And I think, that empowered me to do some good works in the products for engagement and so on. So with that said, I will start to go through one by one to our panelists and ask them to introduce themselves. Parisa, let's start with you. Tell us about, yourself.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Parisa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Figuring out this virtual event situation. So I graduated from UW. I'm a local Seattleite, and I've actually been at Amazon for almost 9.5 years. I started over in the Kindle part of the company. I was actually a journalist before I came to Amazon. Never would have thought I would have worked at a tech company, but started over in Kindle, learned about publishing, and started to get into some product management kind of naturally. And like many Amazonians, and I'm happy to dig into my specific Amazon experience later on, but like many Amazonians, I hopped around the company learning about different components of building technology. And for the past 6 years, I've been in Amazon operations. And what my team's responsible for now is the product and technology teams that are responsible for developing and supporting the delivery service partner program. So especially during this COVID time, when you see those blue vans with the Prime logo on the side, the people inside those vans are part of the delivery service partner group. And what my team's responsible for is essentially building a product that enables entrepreneurs to launch delivery companies on behalf of Amazon. And I've been doing that for the past couple of years. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. I love talking about women in technology, and particularly finding out about this organization was really exciting to me. So I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for your introduction. We're gonna have very exciting questions for you specifically because it's related to your background. So Pouneh, will you go first next?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Pouneh M, Kaufman. I've been working in the tech industry for 20 years, primarily focused on media and entertainment. I was in LA for about over 20 years. I recently moved to Seattle, Washington, less than 3 years ago, where I work at Microsoft in the core services engineering group and lead the seamless teamwork experiences. And what that means is, anything in M365 that's around collaboration, communication, and meetings for our 240,000 users. The platform I'm responsible it's an intelligent unified communication platform called Microsoft Teams. So we rolled out Teams across internally at Microsoft. And, and obviously with this pandemic, it was essential for us to actually be able to leverage it. But my passion and really is about enabling end user experiences that transcend technology and workflows to these digital workspaces. I love to work with the end user experience and really look at engagement, implement listening systems to really drive adoption and readiness of our products. So I'm super excited to be here, share my experience, and talk to you about, whatever you want.
So, Pouneh, I think your microphone is a little bit, we can hear you, but if you could improve it, meanwhile, it would be better. Like maybe change the angle or something so everybody can hear exactly and hear your voice. So, Anijan, yes, please tell us about yourself and your background.
Thank you very much. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be here amongst you amazing ladies, and it's even more wonderful because it's specifically Middle Eastern and North Africa, and that's just a very near and dear to my heart. So as I speak, you guys might hear my stutter. I have stuttered since I was 6 years old. It's a feature by design. And I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 2 children. They're 3 and 5 years old, a boy and a girl. And I love tech. I've always loved tech. I fell in love with it when I was in 8th grade. And then I figured out a way to teach myself and build my first PC back in the 286 era. Now I'm aging myself. So for those of you young kids of this generation, that was back in 1993. I know, kind of old. And then from there, I started a few startups, and then I went .bomb at the .bomb era in 2002. And then I joined Microsoft in 2005 as one of the first women technology evangelists. From there, I've then done sales, and then I've done marketing for what became known as the Bing search engine optimization tools, and moved on to build Windows 8 and Blue. And then from there to Visual Studio Online. And finally, my last 4 years I spent in Microsoft research. So if you did all that math, that's 15 years almost at Microsoft. I'm as old as furniture. So with all of that, the interesting bit for me was, okay, what can I take from this? Because it came to a point where I wanted to choose to be more available to my children. And because I have done all these different things, I made a great choice to marry what I love, which is construction and homes, because all along I'd been investing in homes and building homes, remodeling homes, and I wanted to marry that with tech. So I got into the metal fabrication business because I love metal, I love buildings and construction supplies, but I married it with tech. So you're able to place an order, and your custom metal is fabricated as soon as it comes in via online, and it's ready for you to pick up the same day instead of you having to wait 2 weeks to get a call back. That's what I'm up to right now. We started the business, I did in 2018 of July 31st, and last year was our first full year. We broke 1.1 million. This year we're slotted to break 2. So that's where it's at, ladies.
Thank you so much. Such an exciting journey. Wow. So thanks a lot. So I'm going to start with the questions that are, ladies out there, they're curious to know. And then I want to have like each of you to answer one of the questions in particular. And then we will, after that, we'll open up to see if there's different points of view around it. So I'd like to go back and start with Parisa John and understand like, okay, we are actually at a point of time that we were discussing being mothers and being like taking up responsibility of the family, bringing people together, and so on. Being a gatherer of the family and people around us can be part of the hassles that women found themselves too much working, and they actually lose the focus toward the work and so on. So what is your experience of being a leader, but also like a mom?
Yeah, so I'm still learning to talk about my children because I just had a baby. So Ani, thank you for reminding me that now my intro has to include the fact that I have a child. So I had a baby 8 months ago. His name is Kaufman. Oh. And we at Amazon up to 5 months off. And that was incredibly terrifying for me as somebody who has been, super excited about work for so long, for nearly a decade. It was really hard for me to say, I'm going to put everything on pause and go focus on starting a family. But I did it. And I think some of the things that I would tell other women who are either starting their family journey or thinking about how to prioritize work with kids is, I think one of the biggest pieces for me, and something that I also think is a critical path to what my career growth has looked like at Amazon, is just being very open with my manager about what my expectations for myself are, where I'm at in my life, and finding someone who's willing to have those open conversations with you. Because at the point where I was pregnant, I waited till I was about 4 months pregnant to talk to my boss. I tried to wait as long as I could. And finally, I could tell that people were starting to notice. And so I went and I was super nervous. I wrote everything down that I wanted to tell him. And then I just started talking. And immediately his first reaction was, "Oh my God, congratulations." And it kind of just flew. Like from there, we just had a much more fluid conversation. It was less of like me having to put up armor and saying, "It's okay, everything's going to be fine. It's not like I'm dying, I'll be back." I was just surprised as to how open he was. And I'll say there's a few things that this taught me. As a leader of teams, it also taught me to really step back and let my team take the front seat on areas that they should be. And I think that learning how to do that was a really critical piece. And being able to actually take that 5 months off, it taught me that the world's not going to end. I actually came back to my role. In fact, my role is even more interesting than it was when I left. And I think a lot of that is both just level setting expectations with my boss, but also just level setting expectations with myself that everything's fine, and learn how to leverage your team to the right extent, learn to trust in your own skills, because you being with child does not make you any less important to the company than the you before. And so I think this experience has been really eye-opening for me. And I would say, just one last thought, as we got into COVID, all of us ended up having to be home. And for people who are home with kids, it wasn't easy. The first 2 weeks of COVID, I had some heart-to-hearts with my husband that like, this isn't going to work. But as we've kind of built what the new work from home model has looked like, and again, being super transparent with our leaders and our teams on what our life situations are, I've been truly astonished as to how flexible the work environment has become to enable us to have that hour in the middle of the day to go on a walk with our kids, or finish promptly at 5 so that I can go spend some dinner time. And it's all about setting those boundaries for yourself, but realizing that it's totally okay to ask for that. And I think COVID has forced everyone to realize that what people might have thought were women problems have become everyone's problems in the middle of COVID. And it's caused us to realize it's okay to push those boundaries.
Yeah, thanks so much. Because I asked that question as the first question because I put out a pool of asking people what they think comes into the way of being a leader. And this was one of the top 2 items that they voted it will come in the way. So, but hearing your great experience, I hope that it inspires others as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. So going to Pouneh June, actually, so let's shift the gear. So we know that there was this number published with Melinda Gates that it takes 206 years for United States and nearly everywhere in the world to achieve gender equality out there. 206 years is a lot of time, and every year there is 1 year too many. What do you think we can do, the companies can do, to speed up an otherwise super slow process for changing the world and society to recognize the role of women in the leadership for better?
Fereshteh, I think that's such a great question. And I think as organizations are becoming more aware and understanding the importance of diversity and inclusion, I think there's still a lot that we need to do to accelerate the process of women in female leaderships. And I think some of the things that organizations can focus on is addressing the women's leadership challenges, right? I mean, just like Taisha talked about the COVID-19, working from home, right? Being able to do that. It's not just a woman's work. The whole family has to pitch in. So let's start addressing some of these leadership challenges and needed competencies, and make sure that female leaders have the experience and the resources to learn what they need. I mean, this is so critical. At Microsoft, we have so many enterprise like resource groups, women groups, supporting each other, really trying to rethink and challenge assumptions There's nothing wrong with going back and reassessing and revamping policies or, things that may have not worked in the past. I think it's taking the time to acknowledge them, looking at the systems and changing them when something is wrong, taking that feedback from our female leaders, and then obviously being very deliberate about scheduling opportunities and networks and bringing this, women in to amplify their voices and build these relationships. The one thing I think we talked about in, the pre-room was, how do we become more allies for women? This is so important as we think about being more allies to help advocate. It will help cultivate the right attitude, right? Companies can increase female leadership through processes by providing these mentorships, sponsorships, and coaches to help alleviate women, leaders and lifting them. So I think there's systemic things that do need to change. I also think there's the human factor in it, and the women need to come together and really help support each other to elevate that and accelerate it.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So super insightful. And for Anijan, I am actually thinking there was this lady, a Black lady actually, that Mrs. Warmheit. I hope that I got her name right. But she mentioned that when I was trying to help people to just run away from camps and being in the places that they took as a slave, to free them, she just hid them and let them run away. They asked them what was the most difficult part in that whole process, and she said convincing them that they are free and they are not really like a slave and they can do more for their life. So we actually addressed by Parisa John said like a role that we have in a society and a family, and Pouneh John said like what companies can do. I want to ask you what each female leader can actually do for promoting and seizing the opportunity so they get like under their control, how much they actually can do for themselves.
So sorry, there were parts that wasn't as clear due to technology. So the premise is, what can we do as women on our own to promote leadership and growth in the tech arena? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, like that we will go after it and believe in ourselves that we can actually achieve that, and we can be a leader.
Sure. I think it's maybe age or maybe just where I am in my career and in my children's life that most questions have so many answers. And I'll kind of focus on the top few that are coming my way. Yes, a lot of it has to do with, do I believe that I can lead and I can grow as a woman? And yet at the same time, there is a reality, right? The reality is of time. I have 8 hours in a day, right, that I work. And as soon as that 8 hours is now becomes segregated, it becomes broken up because I choose to breastfeed, right? When my children were, as Parisa said, I got 5 months with my second one. My first one, I only got 3 months. They didn't have 5 months at the time. So I got 3 months and I went back to work soon after. I was a go-getter. I was growing in my career, doing really well. And I was afraid to be gone, really. But when I went back, I realized that, hey, in these 8 hours, I also have to pump milk twice because I choose to give milk to my children. And even though the rooms are there, the reality is that people weren't really used to me stepping away for 40 minutes. Yeah, it's 20 minutes to pump the milk, and then you have the parts to clean and put back together. So 40 minutes twice during the day, as well as lunch. So do I sacrifice lunch or the milk? Right? It's a balancing act. And then the other side is also, do I want to miss breakfast or dinner with my kids? I don't want to miss either. So yes, it's about belief. It's about knowing that you can. And maybe the place you are isn't the fertile ground for you to grow. Maybe what got me to the point of leadership has now changed, right? Microsoft was a great train. It was a great vehicle for me to grow in my career. And I don't want to make the choice to skip lunch or dinner or breakfast with my kids. I want to be there for all three. And as they grow older, I choose to be there because it matches to my values. And to do that, I also don't want to put my career on hold. And I realize I can't do both the way it's going. So the best thing I can do is figure out, how do I grow in leadership and not sacrifice the kids? And to do that, I have to innately believe that it's possible. So just like you said, she had to convince the slaves that they were free. I have to innately believe that it's possible to be a leader and to be a phenomenal mom at the same time, and match to my values and not sacrifice those. When I get super crisp about those things, then I can make something amazing. Like, hey, I can start a company. I can do tech. I'll be the CEO. I hire the rest of it out. And during COVID, I'm going to hire a sales guy because now I can, because there's a bunch of them unemployed. Whereas before I would have to compete for them. And I'm going to build a phenomenal team. It's that belief. It's that real clarity of what you want and having that clarity of belief that it's possible, and then marrying them together.
Fantastic. Like you mentioned actually something that is really, really important, and it's about like the decision making, not the belief and the decision making on feeling empowered to make choices, and not only about your career, but also about your life, and find something that is suitable. So thank you for that great insight. So we actually have like 15 more minutes. I want to start again with Anizan, because now she actually is going to continue what you already do. Sorry, if you want to take a break, I can.
I was just going dark. It seems to have gone darker, so I was turning on a light.
Yes, you feel much better now. So I was then, to build up on what you just said. How do you think we can take like action? You are like a great example of already doing many years in. You were being a women evangelist, and then you were many years in the tech, and then you moved on, actually starting to even go to a new industry. So how do you think, with your experience, women out there can actually accelerate or facilitate their career growth? What are your advice based on your experience?
Understand what's important to you, right? So instead of deciding, should I stay, should I go? Is it better for my family, or is it better for this or that? Those lists everyone can make. Make the list of what is your non-negotiables. Yeah. For me, it was a clear non-negotiable to skip breakfast or dinner with my kids, to skip putting them to bed. I am never going to miss one. And my daughter's 5. I've missed 4 times where I have missed being there for her on breakfast, and I have missed 5 dinners that I haven't been there for. And I'm not going to do that. That's my non-negotiable. So that's the list I would start with, is write those down. Next to it, no matter how impossible it might seem to you that there's no way that this can happen, write down what you wish your scenario is. Like for me, I want to grow in my career. I am not stopping. And I also love tech. I don't want to give that up. But I don't want to work 12 hours a day. And I don't want to be stuck in an 8-hour job where, I have to be in that meeting and it's only at 9 a.m. and I can't move it. And now I have to skip the doctor's appointment for my daughter. I don't want to make that choice. So my dream job was a job where I grew in leadership. I was able to apply tech. I'm able to stay on the brink of things. I'm still able to learn a lot and grow a lot. What does that look like? Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to chase that down the rabbit hole and figure out what that looks like for you. For me, it turned into, I'm going to mix my hobby of building houses and remodeling houses and apartments with tech and figure out what that's going to bring me to, right? Let that be your guide, your non-negotiables and your dreams and aspirations. Let that guide you to the path of where you're going to find your peace and how you're going to give back.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. So, Harissa John, going back to you, so knowing that we are having such a long way to go to bring equality with women in both places of work and home and everywhere, what do you think like we can do for bringing the next generation toward the leadership, and actually they could do like even a better job learning from our experiences there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say millennials in general, and it took me, I had to Google to realize I am a millennial. I always thought I wasn't, but I am. Millennials in general are much more forefront about their needs than historical generations. So we're already taking, good steps in the right direction. I will say, and this kind of builds off of what Ani was talking about, there's a couple things that I think are really critical, and I fall into this trap myself every single day. One is the whole notion of the imposter syndrome. It's so real. Every one of us has it, even if we say that we don't. And one of my colleagues, Ross Raichi, is on the call. If you haven't met him, you should network with him after this. But he always reminds me, like, you're doing great. And I think one of the things that's critical is for us to remind ourselves, totally, we should like put a sign on our mirror every morning that you're a kick-ass human being and you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and don't ever doubt yourself. But I think the other thing that's critical for the men who are at this event and the men that work around us to be great allies. Tell the females in the room that they're doing a great job. Open the floor for them when you can tell they're not talking. And know that they have great things to say and raise them up. We are only as good as the rest of our team's abilities to be able to speak and produce and be inclusive. And so I think it's incredibly important for the men, and thank you for being here, to be great allies, because it truly helps us. And every time someone like Ross, I'm calling him out again, tells me I'm doing great, it makes my day. Like it's amazing how much that's actually impactful for all of us. So just that I think is critical. And to that piece around imposter syndrome, I think another thing people, and I have had a fairly quick career trajectory at Amazon. And I think part of that was because I wasn't scared to put myself in more senior venues. You are sometimes scared to schedule that one-on-one with that person that inspires you, or that you think you have some interesting questions that maybe you could be helpful to their efforts. Don't be scared. Just schedule the one-on-one. Whether it's a female or a man, usually they'll be super happy to chat with you. And sponsorship opportunities come when someone has recognized you being in the room. So be in the room, and don't be afraid because of your level. At Amazon, we have levels. I'm sure most companies do. And I used to always feel like my level was on my forehead. But once I kind of pushed that away and just started contributing in meetings, I remember being in a meeting with Dave Clark, our SVP of Worldwide Ops at Amazon, and I knew that someone was saying something wrong, but I was scared to speak up. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to say it. And one time when I did have the opportunity to be in a one-on-one with him, he had remembered that moment. Like people will remember these moments. So don't be afraid to speak up, even if someone is more senior than you. And the other piece too, and Ani said this, so I'll just plus one it and add a little bit more context to how I did it. Don't wait for your manager or your sponsor or your mentor to open a door for you. If you feel like your job doesn't have enough tech in it, for instance, I really wanted to lead a tech team. And so I went up to my boss and I said, what are we going to do to get me there? It was just a question, and he didn't expect it. And we kind of talked about it, and now I lead a team of 60 engineers. And you just have to open those doors, because the person who's thinking about you the most is you, and you can't ever forget that. And so it's important to make sure you're looking around those corners, opening the doors, apologize for it later, and just kind of see what paths you can build for yourself, because you'd be surprised how many people are there to help you once you kind of knock at the right door. Those are the things I feel like have really helped me over the past few years.
Excellent. I have the feeling that if someone already applied what we just said in this like 30-something minute, they're already going to be 40% at least, I guarantee.
Exactly.
Improving their career. Just take notes, ladies, and just do it. Do it. And then also men too, because you play a big part for us being around the table. So speaking of which, at this moment, only about 7% of the executive roles in United States are filled by women in the Fortune 500. So this is really sad. And it's like about 50 positions, and out of which actually I can name 5 of them that they got there by inheriting a company or a share or something. So that doesn't even count. So yeah. So I personally believe there is a special place in hell for women that don't help the other women. With that said, I look at to Pouneh John and say how we can bring the leadership in a way that we use our connection, building relationship, friendship, and open up the space, create a space for opportunity. Sisterhoods of the network out there.
That's such a good question, Fereshteh Joan. I mean, I think, we talked a little bit about being allies, right? That's so important. But like just thinking about, how we want to be female leaders and how do we guide the next generation? I mean, I think of it's almost like some principles, even though they're really like innate, like human principles. It's really about like lead by setting an example, right? Be a good role model, be a leader, focused on the change, not like fame because you want to be an Instagram, of fame. It's really about, leaders are people that, don't tell people what to do. They show them how and why. They have vision. They need to focus on setting the vision in future. And you can't inspire or motivate people through work hard. You inspire them by getting them to believe in your cause. So being a good leader and setting examples is really important. Place of value, I think another one, on the heart of every action you do, right? Come to it with compassion, emphasize people, show people why it's important to make change around you, and bring this future, the young generation into our group to see how much, all the women have sacrificed in their lives to really get to where they are, but show them through that, not just by telling them things. Continue, to create, cultivate diversity and collaboration. This is such an amazing platform, Mina, is to be here. But these opportunities present themselves by us taking deliberate action, by us creating these opportunities. So we need to bring that deeper collaboration and connection to female leaders to say, hey, maybe it is a monthly, we go out, or a women's monthly happy hour, or a networking event like Witty. I mean, these things make a big difference. I also feel that, there's 2 other things that are very, very important where we're focusing on, harnessing technology, right? Making sure women leaders know that, tomorrow technology changes, but the world is driven through technology. And we need to embrace that and harness that and not be afraid of technology. Just like, Ani and Paisa said, it's just, you have to take those the opportunities and jump at it. If people don't know you want that, it's not going to happen. No one's going to be able to help you. So you have to take your voice and really say, hey, I want to go into tech, leverage the technologies out there to network even more so with, during this pandemic, because we don't have that human connection as much. It has to be through technology. And lastly, be willing to help female leaders, right? Nurture the next generation. Like I have 2 teenage daughters, and I remember when I was a teenager, my dad's an engineer. He came from the military, but I never wanted to go into tech, And so I now try so hard to get my daughters into tech and trying and showing them, and just even through this COVID-19, showing them how, Teams has helped them with their education, or, any kind of collaboration system allows you to connect and collaborate. So being able to help younger generations, taking them on as mentors and sponsors, and really nurturing them so that they have these opportunities and want to come, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you so much. So I'm thinking, like, looking at time now, we have like about 5 minutes or so, like 10 minutes in total. I want to give like a round of in that the last 10 minutes, like divide with all three of you, how we oh yeah, okay, let's get some questions. Indeed, I forgot about that part. I was too excited about it. Any questions coming from the audiences for our panelists? Or this is like before we have it. Okay, I got it wrong. So first, let's any final words from each one of you, and then we go to a Q&A with our audiences. Let's just start with Parisa John with the final words. Any advice altogether? Like, what is the takeaway you want them to really know and have from your own experiences?
Got it. I'll say if I was to look at myself as an undergrad 10 years ago and see that I'm now speaking at a Women in Technology conference, I would be floored. So I would just say, and my dad always tells me this, like any good Persian father, that education is so key, and just continuing, and that doesn't mean traditional education like staying in school forever, but being open and curious about how to continue to build your skills as an employee, regardless of what company you work for. I think it continues to open doors for you. And I will say that, like, I was lucky to be at a company that did allow me to move between job families and industries. I started in publishing, worked my way over to operations, two very different spaces of the company. But it was because I was constantly hungry to learn and build new skill sets that I was able to move from a very non-technical program manager position where I literally was reading Kindle books every single day as my job, to now actually building technology that I never would have understood, 9 years ago. It just shows that it's possible, and it doesn't really matter what your original degree was in, but stay hungry, stay looking for those leaders who are interested in helping you grow, and continue to believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, regardless of where you came from, you can get to a really great place. And a lot of people will believe in you if you first believe in yourself. So I would say just stay hungry and keep learning, and don't be afraid to try something that you may never thought you would have done.
So true. Thank you so much. Anija?
Well, I think one of the points that Parisa made earlier about imposter syndrome. So just to prove to you guys that we all have it, I have a bracelet here that I wear every day. And it's engraved because I had it engraved, and it says gladiatrix. It's the female word for a gladiator. So that's here on my wrist every day to remind me that I am a gladiatrix, and winter is my season, and I will rise and I will stand, regardless of how much of an imposter I might feel. The second word that I'm going to pass on to you is change and learning. Just like Parisa said, it's all about change and it's all about learning, right? You don't have problems. We don't have problems, because problems are things that are not solvable. There are only n number of those things on this planet. You have challenges, you have difficulties, you have things you haven't yet figured out how to solve yet. And what you count as problems are gifts, my friends. They're gifts because when you learn to solve them, you shall overcome. During COVID, I did not have a job, right? I walked out of Microsoft March 13th of this year. So come COVID, I had no job. I had 6 people relying on me to give them their paychecks. Much like my peers, the thought crossed my mind that I was going to let them go or cut their pay because, hey, they could get unemployment, right? But I am a gladiatrix. Winter is my season. I made a vow and I told my husband, we're not going to let him go. We're going to keep him on full pay. We're going to give them their benefits because this is when they need it. We're going to give them a $2,000 bonus in April because we'll figure out how, because their families have lost theirs, right? Their wives or their husbands don't work anymore. We're going to hire more people because a lot of them are unemployed, and this is a great time to pick up great people. We hired 3 more employees. We are now 9. And I did not let anyone go, but we pivoted like crazy. First, we started making sanitizer from Everclear alcohol that we bought at Bevmo, right? Which was $44 a bottle. But hey, if you can't find sanitizer, it was great. And we hired an out-of-work pharmacist to help us put it all together because FDA put out guidelines for that. Then we started making masks. And then when it was too full of masks, then we figured out how to fly it in from, overseas or other places. Now we have a whole slew of masks and gloves and everything else that we sell, which brings in about $20,000 to $30,000 a week. It's not crazy, right? It's not a lot of money, but it keeps us afloat. We're not going backwards, and we didn't let anyone go. Change and problems, my friend. COVID is a problem, but it's also an opportunity. The third thing I'm going to leave you with is do not sacrifice your values. Do not sacrifice in your core what you believe you want out of this life. It's a one-way road. You ain't going to go back. You're going forward. So if you want to spend time with your family and friends, figure out a way to grow your career in parallel to that. If you want to have not as much family and friend time because that juices you, then figure that out. Whatever that answer is for you, figure it out and stick to it. Because I know I've suffered the consequence of taking too long to figure it out. And I had a nervous breakdown. Right? I got to a point where I had to really realize, wow, what's causing all this anxiety? What's causing all these problems I'm experiencing is I'm feeling guilty because I'm not able to do as much work as I did before. And I'm feeling guilty because I want to be there for my kids. And I'm feeling guilty all over the place, right? Decide, stay true to yourself. So those 3 things. And remember, you too are a gladiator or a gladiatrix, and this is your season.
Thank you so much. This is really touching. You're opened up your whole experience and everything about like personal things. Really appreciate it, Anijan. I hope that it inspires like our audiences there.
Oh, thank you, Fereshteh June. I'm so inspired just listening to Ani June and Paisa June. I mean, I want one of those bracelets. I'm like, I need one of those. It's so exciting. I feel like I need a Wonder Woman bracelet like that. No, I'll tell you honestly. I mean, you ladies said it so well. There is just a key to being successful, and I want you guys to take this away because it really is what I believe will drive people. Find your passion, whether Ani said it was in technology or it's wanting to learn engineering, really find what that passion is, because that's the most important ingredient for success. And keep with it, like have the can-do attitude that nothing's impossible, right? I mean, you can achieve this if you stick to it. You're going outside your comfort zones, you're trying new things, you're growing. It only helps you perfect your craft. It's so, so important. And most of all, I mean, surround yourself with people that you respect and that are positive and that believe in you. I mean, there's nothing more. We all know it. We come out of a meeting, and when we have a colleague or somebody support us and thank us for the work that we've done or acknowledge us, there's nothing better than that. And so if you keep those people and build that, it helps build your worth, and it helps increase your network so that you can continue to grow. Having network is so important. And I can't stress that enough. That's really helped me in my career as I've moved with different levels and different organizations. And I find that's the best way to get things done. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks all of you ladies. Like I said, I think with the amount of important, practical, like proven experiences that you shared today, I think there is a tone that people out there can do. I hope that the audience were inspired as well. And let's go to them and see if there is any question coming from the audiences. So we have like about 10 minutes for the Q&A with the audiences. Yes. Any questions? So we can actually go back to the stage. So let's switch to the stage. Please click on a stage on your left side so we can go for the Q&A. Yes. Okay, let's start with the question. I will read for you, and then we'll see who wants to answer. What were some of the approaches you took when you were the first individual in your organization to lead the UX and digital product design? How do you navigate between being a leader when you are the first of your kind in a fixed mindset environment? I think that question is like toward Anijan, I believe. Who was the UX VP?
Actually, I don't believe that was me. I think, was that Parisa who did UX, or was it Pouneh?
Oh, yes, Pouneh.
Pouneh, I think you were the one who did UX, correct?
No. I mean, I do collaboration platforms.
Pouneh is like, I think.
Okay.
Let's go. I think she's having trouble with the connection. Let's start. Check another question.
Okay.
As an SD, I am early in my career and like being an engineer, but I'm also curious about management roles. What do you suggest to do to find what career path is right for you? So this is from Shema. So I think the question is about if you're interested in, if you're in one kind of field in your career and you want to switch careers, something that happens in both for Anijan and Parisa as well. So he's asking how you figure out what is the right path for your career.
I'm happy to go, Ani, if you. Okay.
Yes,
so I started as obviously an individual contributor. I wasn't an SDE, but I'll just use my product management experience. I do think there's a couple important things. One was for me to learn the core skill set of the job family for a while and be able to practice it, to understand some of the key things that might run into throughout an engineering career. And so what I would say, to be a great manager, you have to have walked the walk for a while and know how to kind of lead and navigate people through the typical questions and concerns they'll have as they try to develop themselves in their career. And so I think it's important to make sure that you have given yourself that experience, but also work really closely with a manager who's aware that that's eventually the direction you want to go, and help you understand what it is in terms of the skill set you need to build to be able to be in a management capacity. So I don't really read the question as a shift in the career space that you're in. It's more just keep going down the direction that you're going and network with people who have made the transition from SDE to whether it's SDM, or if you wanted to do a different kind of management function, find people who've done that path before or people you respect who are in that role now, and learn about how they were able to make those transitions and things that you can emulate as you start to build your own experience.
I have something I can add to this, because I went in I was a consultant and then at a partner company for Microsoft, and then I got hired into evangelism, then into marketing, and then engineering. So one of the things is that if you're in engineering, one of your first initial steps is program management or product, right? It's one of those managerial roles where you're able to learn managing without authority. So you have to influence people, yet you don't have the actual authority. And what's great about that is if you can lead when they don't report to you, it's far easier to lead when they do report to you, because you then have ability to actually tell them, hey, these are the goals of the organization, etc. But those finer skills are not really easily built as an engineer. And then to piggyback on what Parisa said is, you want to make sure that, again, you're back on fertile ground, that your managers know that you want to grow in that path. And if they don't believe you're a good fit, then they tell you why. And if they do see you as a good fit, then you have that ongoing conversation. Do not be afraid to change managers or change teams because it's not a fit. And to give more to add more water or into your soil, right? To add more light into this conversation. When I was 18, I was told by my speech therapist, do not ever speak in public because you stutter and it's awful. So just, go do a job in an office somewhere. So fast forward to 2005, when I got hired at Microsoft, I scrounged like crazy. I hired a bunch of coaches to help me out, but I stood up and spoke in front of 2,400 people at the launch of .NET 3.0. And I invited her to the event. Don't let people tell you ever what you can do or what you should do or what you cannot do. So if you're having that conversation with your manager and they're telling you, no, you're not a fit, why am I not a fit? Tell me, I want to grow. If they can't tell you, find a manager who can, find a sponsor who can, find someone else who can, right? And then ultimately too, you're accountable for your own growth. So please do spend time reading books, going to seminars. Even if you have to pay out of your own pocket, it's going to pay back. Yeah. So those are a couple of things I want to add on to what amazing words Parisa had to say about that.
These experiments of like paying out of the pocket for learning more, and this is really paying off. And even the Warren Buffett, I think everybody knows Warren Buffett, said that this is the best investment an individual can ever do, to invest on their self and to invest on their knowledge. So thanks for that advice as well. So there's one question that is very much linked to this one that I think it's great. They're asking like how we can find a mentor, a suitable mentor or a sponsor that can help us enhance our skills and also the roles. This question was asked by Shahzad Jan. Yes. So, Pouneh Jan, do you want to give it a go?
Sure. Shahzad Jan, I think one of the key things that I touched on before is, finding people that you work with or people that inspire you, right? The key is finding those people that you feel are role models and that are a good fit for you. So many times people, even come to me and ask me, how do I, can you assign a mentor to me or a sponsor? And I always say, well, what are you looking for? So I think it depends on, the connections that you have, your aspirations that you have, but start with really understanding what you want that mentor and sponsor to provide for you. And then look at people that inspire you. Look at leaders that you want to emulate and look at people and say, hey, I love this leader. I want to be like them. How do I get those skills? How can I grow as a person? And go after it. Don't be afraid. I think we talked about this is, taking that risk of saying, maybe sending that chat or that email or making that phone call where, it takes you out of your comfort zone to talk to people. Go reach out to those people and then and ask them. I know that people are, so happy to help others. But you really, the most important thing is finding the right people that you connect with and that align with your goals and your career that you want to have. So really understanding what's important to you first before you go after them.
Yeah, great. So I had the opportunity to have like very great mentors, and the connection that Pouneh Jan already mentioned was really key point here, because you have to really like the person, you have to be willing to invest the time and energy and do not get angry at them if they got it wrong, and a couple of times even. And another thing that actually can help a lot is if you start mentoring more junior people that they're earlier in their life, not just get mentored, but also mentor others as well, because the mentor and mentee relationship is a relationship that helps both sides actually learn from each other. It's not just a one directional that only the mentor teaches and you learn. It's a both way. They will learn from you as well. Like it's the struggle of the people in a very transparent and environment as well. So reach out definitely and find people that they would love to. There are people out there that are successful and they love to mentor others.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks everybody. I think our time's up. So thanks so much for your great words and for sharing your even personal, very close experiences. I think that was very inspiring for me. I hope it's the same for our audiences. It was an honor to be here and actually hear your experiences, and I look forward to see every single one of you in the great places out there.
Thank you.
So I think there is now a networking
Hi, everyone. So much for joining the panel. Really appreciate all the insights, all the suggestions. It's really important to pass on knowledge. It's something that's, if we keep the knowledge, nothing happens. If we pass it on, impact is created and more people are aware of what to do and what not to do. I hope this was insightful for everyone to listen to. So for the next steps, the panelists, I'll ask you all to go ahead and go onto the stage side for a couple minutes before we open the sessions. They're not open yet. And then in a few minutes, the sessions will open for panelists to have one-on-one or session times with our audience, and also the recruiters will be there in the recruiting session for that as well. Thank you so much for the panelists. Really appreciate it. You can actually click on the stage right now to exit. Really appreciate. Thank you so much for your time. Well, to the audience and attendees who are watching, and thank you so much for joining. I hope these are really insightful information for you. Even though we are in COVID and we are at home, please take advantage of events like this. I know many of the panelists mentioned networking is really important. Connecting with other people is really important, but also sharing knowledge. Having mentors and sponsors, you can get them through a lot of these particular events, through sessions, through one-on-one conversation, and curating authentic relationships, where then you can actually have these individuals as your mentors. If you're not aware, Women of MENA in Technology actually has a membership. I know there was a conversation about investing in yourself. Invest in yourself, being part of organization where resources are available to you to expand and also grow your career and personal development. Investing in yourself means also a lot of companies are investing in you. Membership prices or cost is many times covered by HR or your managers. All you have to do is talk to them about a membership you're looking to get for an organization like, or from an organization like Women of MENA in Technology, and your managers are more than happy to have the company cover the cost for you, so you can grow your network, you can grow your personal and professional development. So please look into that. You can actually visit our website at womenofmenatechnology.com and get more information under membership. We also have a mentorship program under that as well, which can match you with incredible mentors to support you in your career development as well. I will invite you now to join us in a minute or two in the sessions. They're opening pretty soon, and this way you can connect with others. If you're interested in connecting with our organization for sponsorship, partnerships, supporting us as volunteers, please get in touch with us. You can either connect with the local team here for Seattle at womenofmenatechnology.com. It's an incredible team, and we're currently looking for 2 team members. So if you're interested in being part of the Seattle team, you have to live in Seattle to be ordered to be part of that particular team. We certainly also are looking for other cities as well. Please contact us separately for anything else but Seattle at events@womenofmenatechnology.com. I hope you're following us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We have so many different locations, including LinkedIn, where you can connect with the community of over 20,000 community members worldwide. We are in 17 cities around the world. Currently, we're so excited. We just turned 5 years young. Our work is still needing to move forward, and we're so excited and expanding into new cities in 2020 and 2021. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you in our networking sessions, which is on to your left. Talk to you soon.